What's up? Hold on, everybody. I got a fart. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Yes, the name has changed. Welcome to House of the Conqueror with, yes, your host, Johnny B. Crazy. How pretentious is that? I don't know. I'm kind of digging it. We'll figure that out at some point. How's everybody doing tonight? We got a Watchmen special. Some people will call it Wokeman. Who knows? Controversial, right? No, I don't know. Anyways, I was advised not to wear any Rorschach outfits tonight or anything of that nature. And, it is what it is, okay? Um, we have a very esteemed panel tonight. We have John St. Baptiste, Fandom D Saint, Alicia Kingston, and the Dornish Wench, a.k.a. Pirate Jenny. We have Pirate Jenny, Sister Knight, and
The
some
Ginger
weird
Ninja.
dude, the Ginger Ninja. I don't think that would make the cut for the Watchmen. The Watchmen
You don't know that,
superiorist.
man.
But,
You don't know their life.
okay. Well, I'm all about busting balls and killing dreams here. So,
It's a sweet name.
okay. See, everybody just jump on me. Okay, fine. All right.
It's all about branding.
We had a nice big blue thing to talk about in this episode. She was killed by space junk, season 1, episode 3 of the Watchmen HBO series by David Lindelof. Blah 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 blah. Let me introduce everyone who's here really quick. To my far left, we have Alicia Kingston. How are you doing tonight?
What it do, homie? I feel quite well. I think got a few aches and bones. That comes with getting older, though, so I'm dealing with it. And I am here to send all of the praises to Our Lady, Sister Knight. Let's get it started.
I would argue that Sister Knight needs to take a Taibo class just to learn how to hold her wrist properly when she's punching. Other than that, well, I don't have that many complaints. She is a lawless person, though. I think she needs to maybe step back a little bit. I will get into an argument about that with you later, but before that, let me introduce Fandom D Saint. He gets mad at me a lot, but I just love the guy, and I like making fun of him, so, What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey, yo, Phantom DC here, getting ready to talk about, episode 3 of The Watchmen. And hey, if I do end up buying the dust, I want each and every one of you to bring a Funko and just put it in my coffin. There you go. You should have enough room. Just make sure.
Just so you know, I'm only giving you the cheap ones so you can stay broke, you bastard.
I'm trying to move him around, but I can't get him in the screen properly. It's all my fault, so thanks, Mackenzie, for pointing that out. No, Phantom D Saint was waiting on the horrible insult, but he never got one. I won't disappoint you later, buddy. John St. Baptiste, or what'd you call yourself, American Ninja?
The Ginger Ninja.
What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I'm doing pretty well. Last day at the old job was yesterday. First day at the new job is Saturday, so I'm doing all right.
Well, you better be. That's all I got to say. Pirate Jenny is with us, a.k.a. Dornish Wench, a.k.a. I'll never tell you her real name. Dornish Wench, what's good?
Yo, what up to the realm? And it has been a beautiful spooky week indeed. Still reeling from Halloween Horror Nights. Keep the spooks alive, do your duty, and keep it spooky.
She's been slowly walking down victims just like Michael Myers from Halloween. She is, well, I won't talk any more about it. I can't incriminate her on air. So everybody in the chat, how are y'all doing out there? Let me welcome y'all. Peter Griffin, what is good? Danny McKay, Bang Bang Finger Gun. Steve York, I know this is your favorite show ever. Chrissy of All Sons, what is good? What is good? Top Shelf Fandom, what's up, man? I'll be on Top Shelf Fandom channel Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Random Fandom talking about Watchmen and House of the Dragon, so you're going to want to go check that out. Kaboko Carlos, what is good, man? Fandom D Bird Flu is always up in the house. Tubbs 1971, what's good, man? Everybody, I hope y'all having a fantastic day. Okay, that's all I keep saying. Just be happy. Do what you got to do to be happy. Silk Spectre, aka Lori Blake. We find out a little more about her. She's a complicated being, and I think she's going to be somewhat of a central focus from here on out. Maybe even opposite of Central Sister Night, and we'll kind of get into her choppy storyline of the episode. She first starts off, she's kind of calling Dr. Manhattan here from the space phone booth, and I'll let y'all kind of pick it up from there. Dornish, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about all this space sex. What's good?
Okay, so I want to start off with the title of the episode because there was so many musical callbacks to the original Watchmen that I was geeking about it. And I do like that Lori is a huge Devo fan, and Devo has a song called Space Junk, where the title comes from. She was killed by space junk is within it. And they also have a line that says her name was Sally. I never touched her. So kind of playing back to her parents. So I was geeking out about that before anything with Dr. Blue Chew, but you know what I mean? Like, I just think it was pretty cool. There's a lot of musical callbacks, but yeah.
I love that tidbit. And Top Chef Phantom just pointed out something that I just realized is so true. I don't even know if I want to say that, but the strong resembles an early 2000s video that you may have seen in the news. Oh my God.
I don't appreciate you judging us, young man.
I can't even say that whole thing out there. But yeah, and I did like the Devo aspect, and Dornish Wench brings all the awesome factoids. I'm sorry to kill it with that horrible joke by Justin. But okay, yeah. Your thoughts on that, and just in general, Lori Blake's demeanor here, because when we left her in the comic books, it was a little bit up in the air, right?
It was, but for what they've done with her, I am all the way here for it. Like, she's not Silk Spectre anymore. You know, she doesn't even identify too much with her mom anymore. And that's immediately apparent because of the last name change. She is now full on embracing the memory and legacy of her father, who, if y'all didn't know, was the comedian. And she is probably my number 2 favorite character on the show right now because of her portrayal, and that's just in one episode. I'm looking forward to seeing her of each other. Like, the race is always neck and neck.
Sister Night, they connect, but they also are complete opposites, and I think you see this dualism in Watchmen in general, because David Lindelof is sticking, I don't know, he's sticking to the story very truly. About 5 million Easter eggs are in this, but I digress. Fandom D Saint, I mean, what the hell you think of Silk Spectre? Is she still sexy?
Well, it's been past 30 years, and I don't care. I was still freaking, sleep with, still Spectre. But yeah, for starters, it's great to see Jean Smart again. Last time I seen, that actress was in, FX Legion, a show me and Johnny, talked about in previous seasons. And now I'm seeing her in Watchmen, and I'm freaking loving her. Just this entire episode is pretty much, a character study of like what is pretty much transpired in 30 years and how it took a toll on her, and if we ever get a flashback, I'd love to see her like as, taking the role as a comedian, but who knows if we're ever going to get it, but just hopefully some rendition of it.
We actually don't need to get that. You can go watch the Watchmen movie that came out a while back, and they show that whole sequence breakdown.
No, I want a more year freaking gap period. Spoil me, damn it.
You'll be all right. You won't go watch it anytime soon anyway.
Some lies.
I mean, whatever. We find out, she's with the FBI setting up masked heroes, and she sets up this Batman knockoff who, this guy was like, I guess he was just a house dad. But we'll see, she almost has disdain for any masked superheroes. And maybe this goes back a little bit to her father and also Dr. Manhattan and what happened with Rorschach. And speaking of her father, she has taken on his last name and pretty much, as AK said earlier before the stream, become her father's daughter. And we just see that pervasive throughout this episode in her demeanor. She's completely different and transformed through what happened in the original comic series. John, anything on any of that, Mr. Sir?
Oh, two things that I really thought about watching this. Like, it almost makes me think of when certain people find a religious belief or join, say, a group to help them recover from an issue they have, and they come to the point where they're obsessive about it and hate anybody who have a detestment for anybody who is who does that. So don't even give them a chance. It's like a complete 180 type of situation. And yeah, I think that definitely her identity issues are pretty serious here. You're going back to the book, and like I said in the pre-stream, like, it's been quite a while since I read this. But other thing I have to bring up, along with what the Dornish Wench said, not just Devo, I'm really impressed by the soundtrack of this series so far. I think it's not like RZA well done or Trent Reznor well done, but it's pretty well done. Just had to throw that out there.
I'd agree with that. It's pretty enjoyable to listen to. Some things, I don't know. I won't get into it too much. CC, what is good? And Linda R, thank y'all for coming out. It's nice to see you guys. Yeah, Dornish, I see you want to say something over there, even though your face is covered up.
Yeah, so just I think that Lori, the funny part about Lori is that, yeah, she is blatantly acting just like her father. Everything is a joke, everything is a dark comedy, and she's at the center of it, right? But there are tendencies, these Sally tendencies that come up, that sense of nostalgia, having all of these connections to her past, these connections to these men that she's loved in her life, the owl in her house that she keeps, who is his name. So also calling Dr. Manhattan, sharing these jokes with him. It's like, it's very Sally-esque of her to do. And I found that interesting. It's almost like Lori's fighting two sides of a coin here. And her father's side wins a little bit more so than the other. But there's still some Sally in there in her. I thought that was pretty deep that they showed that.
Oh, I think that's exactly what's happening, and good observation. I believe more of her Sally is what's going to start coming out, but not before I think it gets bad here. She still seems to have this rivalry with Sister Night, almost maybe even seeing a little bit of herself in her, because she did take on this comedian persona for a while that, is still kind of ambiguous to us. We don't really know what she's been doing other than where she's at this point. And maybe I'm just a daft, but the owl. Did you talk about locked up? There. Okay.
Actually, you froze up, so I didn't hear anything you just said.
Oh, well, that doesn't help anything. I don't even know what I just said. But basically, I was talking about the owl in the room, and that she is probably going to go a little more, she took on the persona of the comedian pretty much, basically, while she's been gone, and her past is kind of ambiguous, and I think we're going to get a little more reveal to that as to why she is just so extreme in her actions. I mean, even her pleasure, her pain, she has to go to extremes with it seems like.
See, I think I do agree with that. I like that, you guys thought the connection is maybe she sees a bit of herself in Sister Night. And I don't know. I'm vaguely forming a theory that I won't voice yet because there's some dots connecting now that I'm on that wavelength. but again, I like what I see with their interactions. It's going to be very cool seeing what they do around each other and how they'll finally come together. Because I think they are going to have to work together at some point in time to really go after the big fish they need to stop.
Which, if you've read any of the Peteypedia articles, which I need to probably link in the descriptions below, we'll get them in the chat tonight. Dornish Wench has made me read all of them, and I thank her for it. There's some stuff in there that kind of lets you know where Senator Keene is at. He's on the far right in this world. He may be for white power, as well as we know Judd Crawford had a past, but it seems he was the head of the organization in that town. He was the big dog. And it's going to be a little bit about uncovering that, because Sister Night knows that he was doing something bad, but we don't know what the extent of it. But we get a little hint at it about the end of the world comment, the tick tock in the first episode. Yeah,
I got a random thought real quick.
Go ahead.
Is it actually him, or is it maybe his father's suit? Because there's a few people that were complaining about him. They always say, his dad wouldn't have stood for none of this, or blah, 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 blah. And they thought he was like too much of a pansy for trying to keep things peaceful.
On one of the letters he got from the senator, there's some veiled things about him being the top of the organization. Zeus, it's an Illuminati type symbol at the bottom of the letter, and it tells him to something pure. Doesn't say outright, but I think his father may have actually been the one that started it there around.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
Senator Keene Sr. sent him the martial feats of Comanche horsemanship as it's a passing of the torch. So whoever holds that painting is the person that is going to lead that branch of the movement. So because that painting has been in the Crawford household for that long, Crawford Sr. and Judd have been heading this part of that supremacist movement for a while. It's like an underground organization, an Illuminati type of thing, just like Johnny mentioned. But whoever holds that painting, and just the fact that Keene Sr. gave that to them just lets you know where Joe Keene's head is at, because that's a family affair.
So what I hear you saying is, these bastards basically have the paint version of Dawn.
It's like
they have a special thing that only passes down to their
Dawn, ice, like all of that. That painting is symbolic of that person holding the torch, the tiki torch.
Yeah, and now let's cut back to this. John, Fandom, cut in whenever you would like. But as Peter Griffin brought up, we had the bomber and we'll go back to some of the stuff with Senator Keene in the meeting. But the bomber himself, the suicide bomber, who was going to take Senator Keene hostage. Now, this is the thing. In my opinion, Peter Griffin says, IDK, that bomber seemed betrayed by Senator, so he may have just flipped. I think more so it could have been the plan. This is a kidnap job. He seems so offended. You're a betrayer to your race and all of this. Well, why didn't he kill him? Go for the kill. Instead, he goes for the kidnap. And you've seen this in a lot of stories, movies, TV shows. People kidnap themselves. Matter of fact, in Carnival Row, woman kidnaps her own son and blames it on the other politician across the row. So this happens all the time. I wouldn't say that is a form of evidence to prove his innocence just yet.
That's something to add to that really quickly.
Yeah,
because there is an Easter egg in that as well. The fact that Judd Crawford asked her to sing the last roundup, that is part of the execution of that plan. There is a verse inside of the last roundup, and it states, I'm heading for the last roundup. There'll be Buffalo Bill with his long snow white hair. There'll be old Kit Carson and Custer waiting there, or riding the last roundup. So we know Colonel Custer is associated with the 7th Cavalry. and the last stand, Custer's last stand. So this is part of an execution. So as she's singing Get Along Little Doggy, you see this man crawling through this tunnel and preparing himself to prepare to do this act. So yeah, it's totally a cue to the 7th Cavalry to execute. So I think Joe Keane knew about that and expected that.
Dude, I'm still gonna tell you that Judd Crawford was the one who infiltrated and broke into Angela Abar's home on the White Knight and shot her and saved her. Pulled this old okey doke on her. I think it's perfect tactic because what he did, he wasn't allowed to wear a mask, and he flaunted himself up and down the whole town. He was kind of like the Dapper Dan man of the town. That's what he was known for. He even made fashion trends with how he dressed. And I don't know, he just become this very subversively powerful dude that he knew how to handle power, but I think he was starting to crack under the pressure with that cocaine habit. We're just dissecting people's minds here. John St. Baptiste, what the hell you got to say to any of that? Don't you yell at me.
You want my tinfoil?
Fuck yeah, man. What do I look like?
All of tinfoil.
His wife's the clan member.
Well, I mean, she's probably in on it too. You think she's a grand wizard?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying there? Like,
That's my tinfoil. That's my tinfoil.
Angela Abar was the only woman of color at that wake. I'll tell you that much. She should have
Yeah, they
smelled the
made
bleach in the room.
What is it? The second episode when she opens up the secret compartment and saw the robe. Like that was my first thought. It's the whole what's the word? Change. Like I said, just my tinfoil, but I kind of wondered.
Yeah, and then maybe even if if Adrian Veidt, aka Ozymandias, is really kind of maybe the main leader of this movement, which is possible, I guess. Maybe Judd Crawford isn't even dead. Maybe that's just a clone. But we can get into crazy tinfoil if you want. That's what I'm talking about. No, but I will go back a little bit.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Before you go back,
he may have
Johnny,
faked his death. Go ahead, BBM.
I just want to say that like this episode pretty much solidified me just not trusting the senator at all. Just again, his conversation earlier with Lori talking about he wants to spread his act to like outside of Tesla. Yeah, I hope I pronounced that correctly. To like the whole cavalry try to kidnap him, to even like his own meeting right afterwards and having Lori's part like, oh, I want to vote for this guy. It just seems like he's just orchestrating this whole thing just for that. And it kind of also reminds me of like how Ozymandias tried to fake like his assassination attempt, and people thought that, oh, maybe they're after to go kill him. And it pretty much just seems like it's going to happen like right again. It could be a red herring. If not, then it could just be another play on it.
Well, look what Judd Crawford did. He released the firearms before he died. He almost basically declared war. I think they're using this, just like you said, it's perfect political move. It's almost propaganda. You're setting up these moves to kind of make us scared to where you need more powerful brute police force, and you're still like outlawing masked Avengers. It seems like there may be some kind of turn to unmask the police here in Tulsa, which may be happening with what Lori Blake's going to do. And it goes back to Senator Keene. What's he really up to? He's holding Night Owl, who seems to be in prison, which I can't remember his name for some reason right now, but who seems to be in prison over her head.
Daniel Dryberg.
Daniel Dryberg. And he has a nice little beer belly in the comics. It's fantastic. But,
he's fine as hell, too.
Hey, that suit's pretty awesome. Anyways, oh, you talking? Well, in the movie, then yeah, that's a little different there.
Hey, either one, dad bods win.
But well, as Lori said, the costumes make all the difference, But I guess she's still in love with him. It's a classic case of this weird, crazy power love triangle. But is what she's doing based on, does she love what she's doing? That's my question. Does she love what she's doing, or is she forced to be doing all of this? And whoever can unmute first.
I think ah, he might be in league with any one camp. Oh, honestly, I like the tinfoil of him not actually being dead. I can say that much for sure because it would be very fitting, and they needed it to send the signal. So he has a clone in there, and with that scene, also I didn't realize it until later. Lori wanted to do an autopsy on him and check for random things pointing to foul play, but he could have gotten in trouble, or well, things could have been messed up if they would have seen the cocaine in his blood. So I think that's why Sister Night pushed a coffin in. It was a perfect cover that just happened to come up, so she improvised very smartly.
Yeah, push your supposed best friend's body onto the grenade. He would have did. That's what he would have wanted. Dornish.
I think when we look at Lori, you gotta look at how her father saw everything. Part of this joke that she keeps telling, where the hero goes to hell, she's describing that everyone who sees themselves as a hero they're doing something wrong either way. So here in Tulsa, you have these cops that are masked. When people are masked, we spoke about this a couple of streams ago. When people are masked, they are more likely to brutalize others, to dehumanize them. They get a little bit more cojones. They start doing things that they shouldn't do when they're hidden. So I think for Lori, she's got something for the police because they are hiding behind something, just like the 7th Cavalry. She's going to look at this in a way that she used to look at it. She did kind of start from her youth looking at masked heroes with disdain, but now she's looking at it like her father did, and that's what that joke is all about.
The killing
What's the
joke.
difference between a masked policeman and a vigilante?
Right,
Oh,
right.
don't you steal my line with that deadpan stare. But no, for real, I was just gonna say that, Phantom. That's it. Where do you draw
Mhm.
the line? That's why I think exactly the cops are gonna get demasked. Angela Abar is gonna get outed. This is gonna put a lots of people in jeopardy, and this is exactly what Senator Keene, the 7th Cavalry, and Adrian Veidt want, I believe.
Mhm.
Y'all's thoughts?
And the joke as well, who is the father, in the joke? Of course, the comedian is the father. The little girl throwing the brick in the air, that's Lori. She is throwing the brick in the air at this whole situation. She is going to expose this situation for what it is.
And kill God in the process. Really though, really. Okay, so she's going to Tulsa. I know we've kind of talked about. We went ahead a little bit. We're gonna go back. She gets sent to Tulsa. She takes a young underling who works the projector with her. She takes advantage of him later, and I don't know why. The Dr. Manhattan special had to be better than that guy, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. Uh, she comes into the precinct. It's chaos in Tulsa. It literally is. The police are just running rampant everywhere. There's fear throughout the city, at least among the white poor population, which I feel weird saying that, but that's just what's going on in the show. And they have them in the pod, the AKA racist detector, as Lori calls it. But, Looking Glass is not too happy with that. He is a scientist, in my opinion, and a very analytical man, and I'll have to dress up like Looking Glass one day. Some people even find him sexy. So, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What y'all think about the precinct? Red Scare and Pirate Jenny, aka Dornish Wench, was just about to bust a cap in a fool, but Lori come up and then she acts like she gives a shit, but she doesn't really give a shit. She is conflicted as shit. We'll say that much. John, you had it right on that. Y'all better unmute and start talking.
ruining the fun much, I guess. Yeah, but again, we're seeing this issue where the police are masked, brutalizing people. So yeah, is everybody in Nixonville a white supremacist? Surely everyone can't be. You know what I mean? They may be white supremacist adjacent. Some of them may not care. They're just freaking trying to live their lives. I think it's also interesting that the place is called Nixonville. Kind of reminds me of Hoovervilles, from the Great Depression. So that alone lets you also understand what these people are going through and just how the police force is brutalizing them because they're paranoid. So not everybody there is a bad guy. And I think that's what we walked in on with Lori going to Looking Glass.
Yeah, no, not really. And they're not getting rid of their rights as well. It's lawless. It's lawless. Steve York made a good point about Sister Night, that she's walking around with a puffed up chest and the feeling of justice, but she's really just breaking a bunch of laws and probably doing more harm than good at this point. She's kind of did some of the bidding of Judd Crawford, which is going to come back and bite her in the ass even more. I think she's starting to realize that. But in the interrogation, kind of, we get more squid imagery and explanation a little bit that I guess that big contraption is just a racist detector, but I hope it does more than that. AK?
Yeah, and what is it, Nixonville? It's such a weird random place, and I think they are all being profiled, and for some of them it is unjustly. I think Sister Knight actually got lucky with the guy that she pulled in, because she went straight to his house, or at least it seemed that way to me. And damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
No, I mean, Sister Knight did beat the shit out of that one dude, and then we do got kind of get confirmation. Fucking Looking Glass is like, well, I didn't see her cause any harm to his person. He's been straight up a good friend, man. He didn't even want to tell her name, but he eventually knew that. I mean, I guess Lori Blake has the FBI has a lot of power in this sense. Fucking for Looking Glass to kind of act afraid, that's not seemingly normal from what I've seen from him so far. He's usually calm and collected.
Extremely calm and collected.
But again, he knows that his friends are violating the laws. They're bending the law. I wouldn't say he's a micromanager like Panda is, but he still wants to do things in an organized fashion, in the right fashion. But he knows that precinct has just lost its mind, so he's trying to keep it together in front of the feds.
Yeah.
Panda seems to be like the only person who's just following the rules compared to like almost everyone else. Like they're just pretty much like the vigilantes, because they're just like walking that thin line between like what you're supposed to do and not do.
They really are. It seems like a preferred form of justice. They're not going by any laws whatsoever. The ones they do, they're just covering their ass in a hear no evil, see no evil type of, even speak no evil type of environment here. And we can see that's only going to be to the advantage of the 7th Cavalry and whatever their mission is. And I think the 7th Cavalry is only a small section of what the big picture in this organization of, well, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's going to be like the white pride nation, so to speak. There's an article talking about basically going to Mars and rebuilding there. I have to get into more of that later. Fucking Dornish probably knows more about it. She's the one that sent them to me. Dornish, DOPA, and that. I'll get you to explain DOPA first, and then we'll go back to the white people wanting to go to Mars, which...
Yeah, okay, so the funny thing about it is that as far as my conspiracy theories go, I always claim that Bezos and all these rich people want to colonize Mars because they want to leave all the poor people choking on polluted air here. So I just feel like I don't feel like it's a race thing when it comes to that. I just think they're going to take all the rich elite and they're going to go and leave everybody else choking on pollution. It's kind
Well,
of like what they're saying here. The Frontiersman article basically states that Keen is the only hope, and that we better hope that if you're a conservative, that you can get to Mars because Dr. Manhattan is American Superman and he's blue and the planet's red and there's only one color missing. So that's basically how they feel. Their Alex Jones-esque theory is that they need to go up there and colonize because manifest destiny goes beyond planet Earth at this point,
it
and that
might even
they've
be
been
more
robbed.
radical than Alex Jones.
Yeah, they
But
no, not even. I don't put it past the poor guy. You know, poor dummy. But yeah,
the frogs are
um,
gay. Okay.
so I just think seriously, I think at this point, frontiersmen and people on that extreme right, that's their feeling that Redford and this liberal movement that's been going on for so long have completely abandoned them, abandoned American values, abandoned this whole, manifest destiny thing. And that's why 7th Cavalry has caught on in this particular group of disenfranchised people. I mean, that's how terrorist groups operate. That's how the Taliban or Al Qaeda operates. They find people who are starving. They
You
find
know
people who
how
are doing
ironic
bad.
that is, you saying that with that mask on. Anyways, keep going.
They find people who are starving. They find people who are doing really bad, and they're like, "Hey, we'll house you, we'll feed you. If only you'll join our cause." And then they really brainwash people, and that's how you go. You go to the most desperate people that you possibly can.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's it. The people that are having a hard time putting food on their plate, people that have a hard time putting a roof over their head. The kids seem to be suffering, and it's a state of not even that these people, they're almost groomed into racists. This goes back to even the Lindelof podcast and just Watchmen in general, with the nature versus nurture thing, and nurture. In this series having just about everything to do with the development of characters. What their experiences are, what they have actually been through, is going to determine how they act in the future. It's going to directly affect them, like it does all of us. And who knows for real how much nature versus nurture affects us, but we know it affects us on a great deal. What the percentage is, I don't know. But in this story, it affects you a shit ton. And I think that's a really good point, Dornish. John, you haven't said much. I'm hoping you're not passed out from lack of oxygen wearing that bandana. What's up, man?
One of my biggest things with the whole 7th Cavalry and Rorschach, it's interesting. It reminds me of how conceptual ideas of, say, Karl Marx back in the 19th century and what he wrote were turned into a complete perversion of what he had intended. And, from all of the things, I think that's going to play out more in the series. That not everyone has to be a Hitler. Like, you can have somebody who has some at least relatively rational ideas, but whether I agree with them or not, but they get played out in a manner. I mean, I'm sure everybody here has read Animal Farm, and it the 7th Cavalry that really reminds me of the whole. Like, that was my first thought when I watched this. It totally made me think of Animal Farm. But when it comes down to that, I just I don't know. I like being left in the dark. You know, I like those aha moments that you get watching a show. Like, oh hey, they keyed into this like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah, I really hope Rorschach's journal gets a little better representation near the end. That it kind of, well, his actual views don't represent what the Seventh Cavalry's actions and thoughts and beliefs are. That it's actually more of a perversion. Now, you know, Rorschach split personalities. Some bitch was crazy, nihilistic to a fault, just fucking. But I fucking love him, and he had a construct of the world that was simplistic yet complicated, but also I understood him. You can understand where Rorschach's coming from, even though it's dark and twisted sometimes.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing when you're coming to the vigilantes. You know, you're talking about is this legal? Well, law and justice very rarely sleep in the same bed. So you know the whole vigilante culture. A lot of them I can really I can understand. You know, I if the law isn't doing what you need it to do to take care of the people, then I can understand the concept that you take things into your own hands. Um, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I would definitely say I understand it. And
And on that point, quickly, John, that's what we got, like, Angela's character for. It's like she's supposed to, be on the side of the law, but she's pretty much been taking everything in her own hands. Episode 2, even like before episode 2, even episode 1, she didn't even like listen like to judge orders. Like she just went on her own leads.
oh yeah,
And really quick, because I think AK is gonna have to go soon. AK, let's talk about something you want to talk about from this episode. Just throw it out there. I'll be right back. You make sure you get Pirate Jenny talking there because I see her chomping at the bit. She's got something she wants to say. I can tell.
I think the most memorable part for me is the funeral. It's arguably tied on its own with all the other interactions with Sister Knight and with Lori. Like I said before, they are going to give us a very interesting dance, and I like where it's going. When it comes to Lori, I guess, want to see a bit more of when exactly she was hired into the FBI. Like, was that as part of some deal that she made to not go to jail? Or did she just really stop caring as much as she used to? Whether we're going to get an answer for that, I'm not sure. But from what I see for Lori now, I think once someone actually catches her attention with like their intelligence or just, something there that she wants to investigate, I think that's when she's going to show her true self, so to speak. And we're going to see exactly how her dad's memory influenced her to get her to where she is right now.
Oh. I mean, we know what he did. Unspeakable things to her mother. And then got the shit kicked out of him for it. Now, Hooded Justice wasn't playing with that shit. Now we do find out a little more about Hooded Justice through a article, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. AK, I do want to ask you. Oh, I just want to ask you who you think threw that car at her. Was that definitely Dr. Manhattan?
I think it was him by extension. Like, he didn't do it himself, but I think, like what I was saying in our chat earlier, I believe that Dr. Manhattan, I think he already has Owlman out, and maybe there's a clone that's running around in the jail cell he's locked into, because Dr. Manhattan, we know he can create multiples of himself, so who's to say he can't actually change his skin tone and do all of that as well. I mean, he's the most epic of faceless men.
Dude,
Completely.
clone skin. He could put
Yeah.
fucking clone skin on his body with a side of fava beans.
You know, like
You know.
that whole magnet thing actually reminded me of Owlman's ship.
Yeah, and maybe that's where the Black Fairy comes in, because he builds a fucking raft out of bodies in that comic. So
I don't know. I think he's George Clinton. I think Dr. Manhattan's George Clinton and went and pulled him up to the mothership. That's what I think. That's just me. I mean, Will did mention that he has friends in high places. Who's in a higher place than freaking Mars besides God?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And I am going to have to jump out now. Milk stream, honestly, I don't think it's going to take that long, so I may be back. If you guys are still around, I'll definitely hop back on.
Never,
Peace,
AK.
Sister Knight.
Take care, Kay.
Thank
Defeat
you.
Sword in my
Discount
honor.
Sister Night.
Always
Yes.
good to see you, AK.
Right back at you guys, and can't wait for the next one. In case I am not back, though, I'm going to rate this episode like an 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10. All right, I'll catch you all in the next one.
8 blown up balls. That'd be Chief Judd's balls got blown up by that pack of dynamite. Now, we'll get a little bit back into it. Dornish, go ahead and bring us back. Anything you want to talk about interesting? Now, I know we're about halfway through the episode, but we'll kind of just free flow it here. And if anybody's got any questions in the chat, feel free to throw them out there. We'll do our best to tell you what the hell we think. Go ahead there, Pirate Jenny.
So, yeah, my man Petey, first of all, came out in this episode, so I was really, really excited about that, to finally see the nerd behind all these pages that I've been reading. But when they were giving the synopsis of the situation in Tulsa, he added into the slides pictures of Rorschach's journal and an excerpt from Rorschach's journal, which was from October 13th, 1985. And there's one that isn't as significant, but one mentions Adrian. So it says, meeting with Violet left bad taste in mouth. He's pampered and decadent, betraying even his own shallow liberal affections, possibly homosexual. So that is what they tried to go over, and he was yelling at Petey, the chief kind of telling him like, hey, this is insignificant. Why did you add that in here? So that's what made me kind of go back and freeze frame that and read it and see exactly what that was saying.
Makes sense for the 7th Cavalry if Adrian Veidt is the ultimate bad guy for them, which he was for Rorschach. Him being the liberal, him being gay, him being progressive would be all against, I guess, what they would stand for, because they would be against his values, since seeing all of his values as being bad. But when that's not how people really work, right? People are complicated. They have some moral standards. Ozymandias is crazy, but because he's gay, because he's liberal, has nothing to do with it. But this is where it gets perverted. I like that. John.
Yes, sir.
Oh, just speak, man. I feel like I'm telling. Just come on, guys. Let's talk about whatever you want to say, John. Any? I know you talked a little bit about Rorschach, but yeah.
Yeah, Rorschach. He's such an interesting character, and everything's written for his time. I mean, all of us, I believe, were alive and at least young adults when Watchmen came out originally. And I don't know if you read it then.
Fandom. I don't think Fandom was alive yet.
He was still in a Funko.
Probably.
He was gleaming a Funko's eye.
Were you born in 85? I don't think so. You'd be my age.
But
94.
See, there you go, John. You're surrounded by youngins. We're old, man.
I know.
I'm not that young.
It always, I watch this through over and over and over, and that is the thing I keep obsessing about. I'm like, how do people take his philosophy and turn it into this? Because, but like Dornish Wench was saying, there's a key there in those in what's written there. People take that, and people take those things and run with it and do whatever they want. Ozymandias, I could write a freaking paper about Ozymandias.
Do it and I'll read it on air. I will, but really, really quick, I want to say what's up to DD Lee, new person in the chat. What's good? The Blue Nightstick. Uh, and Mackenzie L. Burns was talking about. I just got to ask you guys this real quick, and we'll get back into the serious convo, because I know this is Fandom D Saint's favorite topic. She says, bye, AK. And bye, AK. I hope you have a good trivia over there. But she has a question. How did you guys react to the old lady holding the big blue object on the thumbnail? And of course, DD Lee says the blue nightstick, Mackenzie. But yes, I can imagine she's probably beat the hell out of someone with that. And my reaction in general was, no, they just didn't do that. She even had this big case for it with an Esquire magazine cover page of when she was like the it thing. They were like Brangelina or some shit back then. And it was like Debbie Does Dallas, or I don't know. It's like, I know that wasn't the title, but it did seem like a porn title on the magazine cover. Yeah, I was like, good for them and good for her. She's that's a cougar right there for sure. Dornish. What was your first reaction?
Nostalgia again. It's that theme, that Watchmen theme. That it's just nostalgia is a mother. It really will eat at you. It's not a positive thing to hold on
Yeah. Peter Griffin says Brienne could have been knighted by Big Blue. I think that could have definitely happened. Jamie actually is the originator of Big Blue. Now, John, what did you think about Big Blue? I guess that's what we're calling it now.
Big
Yeah.
Blue. Hey, I'm not a Michigan fan, so I'm totally fine with it.
Oh, okay. So that's good for you.
Wow. Yeah, like, yeah, I used to DJ at a fucking industrial club, and that thing still scared me. Like, I was a little frightened.
Yeah, I feel like she was still even a little scared of it. That's why she chose PD. No.
That's why she chose Peter Parker.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Fandom D Saint. What the hell do you think? I gotta see that reaction to this. Yes. But for now,
I
give me
was
a little
freaking
summary.
speechless. I thought I was bugging out when I first freaking saw it. I was like, maybe it's a freaking flashlight. Let me just move along, whatever. But god damn it, like episode 2, we saw Android 17's blue penis. This episode, we see Big Blue. I don't know
This,
what we're gonna see episode 4 and on, man.
I
Like,
think
what's next?
I think it doubles as a flashlight, Fandom. She flips
Just
it over
more
like this and the balls
all
shine
the
out.
time. All the time. That's actually how the season's going to end. Is just the world's going to be covered with a big blue dick.
And it's got night owl ball flashlights. That's what's gonna happen. See, now we're getting into the meat of this topic. Now we'll go back a little bit. I was
Dr.
getting
Blue too.
into. Oh man, what was the thing I brought up with you, Dornish? Damn it, I can't remember. You can't make an omelet without breaking a couple of eggs. Ozymandias uses this. Let's talk about Ozymandias really quick because we get to see him do a little bit. He's trying to make spacesuits here. We have an we are introduced to a intriguing character called the Game Warden. I'm hoping to find out who the hell that is soon. They seem almost maybe a clone themselves. We'll figure that out. Seems like a really big game to Ozymandias. Now, I will say that this could be a pocket world he's in. He could be on Mars. But for now, let's get into it. It seems to be testing space flight with a catapult. Dornish. What do you think about what
Oh,
the hell is Ozymandias doing, man?
you're okay. So you brought up that he could be on Mars. Remember that in the comics, his his Antarctica um fortress. Well, what did he call it? I totally, it's blowing my
Oh
mind
shit,
right
I
now.
can't
But
remember it
anyway,
now, but I know
God,
what you're talking
anyway,
about.
he had this tropical paradise in this unstable terrain where it wouldn't be sustainable. So it may not be so off-putting to think that Manhattan has him on Mars and that he's got him encased in this world that looks like Wales. You know, it's got this castle and everything. I did like that whole nod to Tales from the Black Freighter in there
Mm-hmm.
with the pirate flag. That was pretty awesome. But I was thinking that the game warden might be Adrian's own checks and balances on himself.
Mm.
Since his last plans were foiled, that maybe he has one of his clones being a game warden just to kind of let him know when he's going off course because he knows that he can have the tendency to make these elaborate plans. And I wouldn't see, I mean, for me, it wouldn't be odd for Adrian to have his own system of checks and balances since he messed up once.
And the game warden seems to even signed your Lil servant,
Hmm.
which goes across to the games. I could get down with that. And Steve York thinks he's trying to create another Doctor Manhattan. The only problem I have with that is he's
Yeah,
not building his
definitely.
chamber, but we have yet to see the extent of everything he's doing. Now he does
Mhm.
seem to be using semi medieval technology to 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 do these things, but I do like the idea of that Dornish. What
I
you're
mean, he gave
spitting out
Lady
there.
True all his money, I
Yeah.
guess. You know
Well,
what I
she's
mean?
bought
Like
out the
Lady
company.
True's running stuff. Yeah, Lady True's running stuff. She's got all of his tech. Maybe that's another check and balance for him. What can I make out of this junk that I'm left with? Um, I just feel like he doesn't want to make the same moves and the same mistakes, and he has to be very, very low key about the way he does stuff this time around because
Well,
everything literally blew up in his face last time.
yeah, I mean, and his name become junk over the years. He predicted technological outbursts that never came to fruition because of what happened with Dr. Manhattan, and they thinking all technology involved with him that he even created or thought of is carcinogenic. They're starting to learn that that is not the case. And Adrian himself may have sold out his company as a guise because it's 3 years after he sold out his company. Basically, it was a few years. I can't remember how many years, but he was declared dead. And we know he's not dead, but maybe the terms and agreements he made some deal with Lady True, and perhaps Lady True is the game warden or some version of her. Which I don't know. I can't tell
Yeah,
if it was a dude or a
I
chick,
thought
but
about that too. That it may be Lady True or a clone from Lady True's, but I still think it's Adrian checking himself.
yeah. Fandom, I see your eyes rolling in the back of your head thinking. What you thinking
Oh,
about?
like you said. But yeah, this whole episode kind of like reminds me now, picturing it, kind of like Greek mythology. What's that one character name was like in the underworld who keep like going up the rock up the hill and it keeps just rolling right back down. I think it's like an S something. Wait,
Sisyphus.
John. There we go. Thank you, John. Which pretty much what's happening right now with Ozymandias right now. He's just trying to escape his pretty much his prison created by Dr. Manhattan, and just seeing like these clones. It's probably again is just like him in his like human form, and then it's just supposed to be um, Janie as well. And just seeing this whole like transpire and it's how I'm trying to escape. I'm curious, like if anything, we'll be surprised if like the game master again is just another one of those like Dr. Philip like type clones as well. If it's not, that'll be like interesting and another twist in itself.
Yeah, I think he needs to feel important some way in his exile. He agreed to this for some reason. Now, the only person I think he would be scared of enough to agree to something like this is Dr. Manhattan offering him either death or you can keep living. And then basically, his legacy is going on through Lady True, but it's not going to ever be accredited to him, which is going to be a problem for the sociopath that is Adrian Veidt. John, you got anything on Mr. Veidt's plans? What the hell you think he's doing, man?
I honestly, I don't even know. I think I like Dornish Wench's theory that he's made this creation, this clone of himself, to basically keep him in check. I really like that a lot. I do have to say, I love the actor who plays Ozymandias. He really gets the portrayal across that he's like freaking nuts. At least to those of us lesser mortals who are out here. He has those moments, and I think that's just perfectly done. I don't know if I think he's behind the Seventh Cavalry. I think they might be two totally different storylines. It might come some sort of conglomeration.
Maybe he's behind the Russians because the Russians are trying to build some kind of uh God, what did they say? What did they mention? They're trying to build some kind of machine that's powerful that can mess with atoms. So there's another race like there was in the 80s. So he may be behind that. I don't put it past him. And then the fact that he's shooting Mr. Phillips into space in different simulations, he's probably not on Mars. He's trying to shoot him up there. So yeah.
Yeah, I like how they give him that whole steampunk vibe.
Yeah,
Like, everything that he does, I think that works really well. I think it elaborates on his eccentricity even more.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with me thinking about him being, if he was on Mars, I'm gonna break this down with Dr. Manhattan. I would say that Dr. Manhattan would have to make a glass dome for him, which we know he can do out of the sand from Mars. He built a whole palace in the graphic novels. Now, if that was the case, though, Adrian could not have slung his clone with a catapult out into space. So that makes me do go back to maybe he is somewhere on Earth and trying to get a face-to-face conversation with Dr. Manhattan. Because he knows just trying to reach out to him through a letter, through a phone call, he's not necessarily going to respond. And I think this is his obsession. Now, going back to whether or not he's trying to recreate Dr. Manhattan or turn himself into a Dr. Manhattan. The only reason I would think he's not trying to turn himself into Dr. Manhattan is because he loves himself too much. Ozymandias, the smartest, greatest man in the world. Now if he can somehow control Dr. Manhattan to be his weapon, that would be Adrian's ultimate end goal, in my opinion, especially for his psychology. He wants to control. He wants to be the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz. And he did this in the first comic. I think that's what he's trying to do again. This goes back to the watchmaker's son, which blah, blah, blah. That's Dr. Manhattan and the clocks. And that's the tie, the really only tie you got with him in the 7th Cavalry. And I don't think that's not for, that's for no reason. Whether he's directly behind it or just pushed events into motion, I don't think we're going to find out until right at the end. But I do believe he has set that and other events in motion, in my opinion. And yeah, Where the fuck he is, I don't know. But something interesting that we haven't really talked about yet is Vietnam is part of America in this world. And I just had to throw that out there at the end of this, some stupid fact, but I do like that. And I'll read some
Thought
of
we
these.
talked about that in the first
Well,
stream.
we might
Yeah, I thought we
have,
did
but
talk
I had
about
to
that.
I had to throw it out again because
How we
it
touched
just
on
kind of it's
Angela being
hard to
born
get
there.
used to it. And yeah. So it's how
Mhm,
Americanized the country is. I didn't realize that.
mhm.
Anyways, don't look at me like that, Dornish. I just kidding. But I don't know. Any other thoughts on what you think Adrian's gonna do, or anything with the Ozymandias line of clothing products and lip balm?
Dee Dee Lee brought up a cool little tidbit that maybe the Russians are trying to make Dr. Moscow. So we got
Mm,
another standoff happening
could
here.
that be who's hiding him? Could that be who he is in with the Russians? Kind of like you were saying, but going back
Hmm.
into yeah, and
That
it,
could
it
make complete sense.
mm-hmm.
Why he's so obsessed with Dr. Manhattan and replicating him and understanding how he was made. I mean, it could be a race to make Dr. Moscow. So big up to Dee Dee Lee for that one. That's pretty awesome.
Hells yeah, smarter than me. See. No, I really do think that's a good point. And he could be hidden over there. That would be somewhere that America wouldn't have really access to. They're trying to hide everything they're doing. It's another Cold War, like you were saying. So, ooh, I like that. I like that. I don't know. Dornish is smart. She's gonna be dead on everything. And then Dee Dee Lee in here helping us. We're just gonna know everything, right? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? David Lindelof is doing a fun job with this, but in the podcast, the whole end and the character drive of the series is gonna be race, and we'll see how he handles that. Because I still think there is potential for this to get really interesting and weird. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's gonna be fun. But this is not the end of it. Okay, we have the press
Is there
conference.
is
Oh,
there
go
a
ahead.
part of you that thinks that the race thing might be a red herring?
No, not anymore. Not after that podcast with Lindelof just now that just came out. I don't know. It's kind of that's something he struggled with the whole time. Mm, but
I haven't
yeah,
seen this podcast yet, so
I'll send it to you. You can listen to it. Huh?
Is
Well,
that the
we'll see
same
what.
podcast you linked in the chat for us, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's on Apple, but this one's free. So, and it just
uh,
depends how it's handled. Like right now, I think it's handled just fine because the way it's represented, it's not that hey, everybody's racist. That's not how it works, and there's subtle nuance to it. So I'm okay. I'm good with it so far. I think it's hard. It's something hard to tackle in any day and age, and just have it come off good storytelling wise. But I think
great.
if anybody can do it, Lindelof can. So I'm down. I'm down for it. But we get back to the press conference after what had happened. Keen just seeming very suspicious here, um, and then we get something we talked about earlier, the old the blue flashlight. I don't know what else to call it. I just the damn blue flashlight. Before that, I mean a little bit more on Keen. He's trying to get
Call it the Michigan.
yeah. He's about to make a presidential run, right, Dornish? If I'm not mistaken.
Most def, yeah. He's trying to go um for being president. And Lori does mention that to him when in their talk. No, he mentions it to Lori. He's like, I can get your bird out of a cage if I become president. I can pardon anybody. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and goodness gracious, there's so much in each of these episodes. I'll ask you this too, though. with that, that makes me think even more he's in on this vast conspiracy at work that Will Reeves has mentioned. And this goes back to the article we read about the, the Mars only missing one color to make a American flag.
Yes.
And he is, I guess you could say, Republican. This is a fictional world, everyone, before you get crazy on this. But he is
Not just any
Republican.
Republican, like super right. He's trying to
Yes.
look like a regular schmegular, degular Republican, but he is way right. He's smart. He knows that he has to appeal to both sides, but his real intentions are extremely right wing.
And there's been an uproar in the people, the citizens. There's been basically a blue wave of Democrats for years and years. Robert Redford's been there for a while. Before that, I can't remember who was there before that. But, anyways, the
It was
Redfordations.
Nixon. It was
Yeah,
Nixon.
so
In
it's just
this
been Nixon
universe,
and
like the
Redford, right?
presidents last a while. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought there might have been someone in between there. Okay, good. Um,
Mhm.
it just they've been perceived or branded as communists, the
Mhm.
Democratic Party here. Maybe rightfully so in some aspects, because honestly, you can see where the progressives are even exacerbated and exaggerated, and it's not. They play both sides here, right? That's something I think is pretty good because they
They
do play both
definitely,
sides.
you could see it at the funeral where you have in what this is something that I caught too that made me geek about the comic book. There's someone holding up a protest sign at Crawford's funeral that says who polices the police instead
Oh,
of who watches the Watchmen.
and
And
they
then
give
on
us
the
back
other
our
side,
guns.
yeah, give us back our guns. There was people too that, let the heroes wear masks. There's a bunch of different sentiments. So you see the rift forming in the American public. Tulsa is just on display, but there are things echoing throughout the country, these sentiments, just like in our own world, that there are things echoing from city to city. Doesn't matter if you're in the West, the East, and the South. It doesn't matter. There are things echoing throughout our country, and that's what's happening in this universe.
Yeah, Tulsa has to be, well, is the epicenter of this story. Um, Fandom, what you got?
Just piggybacking on that, it's kind of like Looking Glass. Like the show is pretty much just looking on our world, pretty much in a sense. But I didn't notice the whole signs during the whole funeral, though. I have to like really check that back out again.
Yeah, it was interesting. I guess. Well, it's pretty. It's too much to be expected. Normal citizens do not have rights to guns anymore in this world. That's probably another thing. Like I said, that's one of the signs you saw there. People wanting their guns back. That's going to be another wave of people voting Republican, I guess. And whatever is bound to happen is going to be, begin here. I guess all the plans end in Tulsa. Maybe Adrian Veidt's trying to slingshot himself to Tulsa. Anybody ever thought of that one?
Yeah, just saying.
Sorry, we dropped for 2 seconds, but
Oh, well, the doomsday clock. They were, they're pointing that out. So I'm interested to see where that goes.
Isn't the Doomsday Clock referencing what the cavalry is doing? What they keep on saying they're countdowning to something?
Oh, the TikTok?
Or just
No,
yeah.
there's actually this structure that they showed when they were flying in.
Oh, with the Washington Monument thing,
the
you mean?
Yeah,
millennial clock or
Okay.
something
the
like that.
millennial clock. Yeah, but they call it the doomsday clock. Um, so I'm kind of like, who a millennial clock, doomsday clock. That's like the nickname for it. So I'm just kind of interested to see where that's going.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It makes me
And
wonder.
Lady True's behind that. That's supposed to be her structure, which means Vight's behind that. So yeah.
And we're gonna see her next episode. We're gonna get a good introduction to her. Besides her little kid just buying a bunch of papers. John. John hung up on me. Whatever, John. I didn't like you anyway. Okay. Well. I mean,
Keep saying his name, John. They went after him. Damn it.
damn, damn. Hey, that's Dr. Manhattan we're talking to. That's what he looks like in human skin form.
Sorry, I popped out for a second.
Yeah, it's highly fashionable of you. What were you gonna say?
The Doomsday Clock. Okay, it makes me ask a few questions. So, I didn't see the film. I read the book years ago when it came out, or not too long after it came out, and yeah, I've been watching the show. So anything that went on in the film, maybe I'm missing something. Or it, I, I, I think that the two different views, that it's the Millennium Clock or it's the Doomsday Clock, are basically representative of the different philosophies that are going on in the country right now. I mean, this show is playing a lot on what is actually going on in our country right now, which I can understand. I mean, it's applicable. It makes as much sense as what Frank Herbert wrote back in the 1960s. I mean, he essentially predicted the oil crisis that we had in the 1970s. He totally did. If you read Dune from that perspective, like you really knew what was going on.
And our
Sorry,
cousin the Unabomber was right too.
I don't have a beard. Okay.
You don't have to. Just a weird mustache. That's all you need.
But my big question about the whole, I know they're trying to tie this Rorschach thing up into. I know it's eventually going to make sense, at least to some extent. I don't think lithium breaks down to if I remember correctly, and keep in mind it's been about 25 years since I took chemistry class. But I don't think lithium breaks down to an isotope that you can use for like chemically destructive purposes. And I always the scene that keeps coming back to me when I think about the show is when they're taking all the lithium batteries out of the
It
watches.
was synthetic. It's a synthetic, discontinued synthetic lithium that was highly volatile.
Okay.
That's why they were using them old watches. It's a specific type of watch that they have to have that was made before a certain time that I can't remember. And Dee Dee Lee says in the timeline for this canon, the movie was erased, which might as well be. I mean, the movie was what it was. Just a few things left out of it, honestly. It was
Okay.
okay.
No. Like I said, I didn't understand that, and I was trying to wrap my head around it. But yeah, I'm still at that point that there's little enough that's been revealed. Like I have theories, but I can't say like I'd put my bets on this dog about pretty much anything so far, which I think makes it a really good series, which I really enjoy. I don't want things spoon fed to me. Like I want to try and have to figure it out.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting some reverb.
I am.
I am.
Oh,
It's on your end, probably because you're on speaker. But mute for me if you can. TY, homie. Um. Let's see. So. Yeah. Oh well. Diddy Lee says lithium batteries can be explosive. For example, cell phones when they overheat and people pocket. But yeah, I don't know. In the people pocket. Oh my bad. I'm misreading it anyway. Hey, Dornish, don't look at me like that. What's up with you? Don't do that. Where's your mask? Okay, people are gonna know who you are. This conversation, this story she tells, And like you had said, she is the girl that threw the brick and killed God. Is she gonna kill God? And is this her? Is this foreshadowing for her actually maybe even killing Doctor Manhattan, or is God, because we had Doctor Manhattan represented as a hero, is God another figure that we have yet to see? Who is this guy that she may kill? Is what I'm saying. What's the meaning of this fucking story? Dornish guy. Oh snap! She's she's on the Doctor Moscow case. No, I think she's kind of telling a story maybe of God being killed with her curiosity. Because Doctor Manhattan doesn't even believe that there's a God. Um,
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Like, is God an idea? So, what is going to die? Are the ideals that people have in this time, are they going to be rocked? Are a lot of these ideas going to die? And is she the one that is going to throw the brick and start that ripple effect?
it seems
At least
like
that's
that
how
she's
I
gonna
feel.
do that. She may have even did that by stopping Keen from getting kidnapped. That may have went against his plans because she wasn't supposed to have a
Right,
gun. She snuck
right,
that shit in.
exactly. They took Petey's gun. So, yeah.
Little
Yeah,
bastard.
my man Petey.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. He's getting used and abused this episode a little bit. But he's learning
I
the ways.
appreciate Petey very much. I love Petey.
Hey, he's gonna do something good, but he's set up to die. If you've seen any TV shows, Petey's gonna die, guys. Just don't hold on to Petey for too long. And I'm not gonna lie, I think we'll see Silk Spectre going down by the end of this.
Just like Billy.
I just want to say, hey, you want to quickly go, John, or
Oh, the only thing I was going to say is I love, from a cinematic perspective, I love how the entire episode is framed in the joke she's telling. I thought that was really well done. I thought that was pretty clever. Um,
agree? I thought it was like one joke, excuse me, two jokes. Then it just like went right back to the
right,
simple brick that was mentioned earlier.
It's a
and that
bad
was part of
review.
the punchline was, oh, hey, wait, yeah, I thought, uh, from a humor perspective, I thought that was really cool from a cinematic perspective. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, and she made her. I don't know. I feel like she's making her peace with something she's about to do. I almost think she has some sort of plan in the end of this. Let me get you to mute for me, John. I got
Oh,
reverb
sorry.
cracking. Sorry. And she has seemingly been sending messages to Dr. Manhattan for maybe 30 years here or more. She always finds herself in that booth in love. The only thing probably left in this world she loves anymore, besides her pet owl and her other pet owl behind bars, which I guess he's probably behind bars. But maybe he's on the same plantation, for lack of a better term, with Adrian Veidt. Um, who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's some kind of big jail cell for people that, because Night Owl's a smart dude. He was the Batman of that world, so maybe you'd want to put him under a little better lock and key. But wherever he is, Keen knows where he's at and is holding that over Laurie's head. I mean, I don't know. At some point, Dr. Manhattan's going to come into this. Fandom, who the hell threw that car at Laura's feet?
It seems to be Dr. Manhattan or whoever is, helping out Angela's father. And then just him bringing up when we in episode 2, like, oh, about the whole Dr. Manhattan thing. And it's like, oh, I can't tell you everything just yet because you wouldn't believe me, you know. So if it isn't Dr. Manhattan, which it kind of seems like it's gearing towards that, it has to be like someone else, you know.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is we saw the spaceship that, or it could have just been a regular ship. They have weird
Maybe a
hover.
giant magnet that we're thinking is a spaceship.
Well, there was a magnet, but I did see a magnet grab grab the car, and then I did see something fly away that looked like a metal craft.
Wait,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, that's true. I still think it's Manhattan's our George Clinton
but see,
taking
the
Willow to
problem
the mothership.
they have, I feel like they have to have some sort of fucking spot on, I don't know, the Earth. Because just in general, unless they're teleporting like crazy, which we know is probably not good for your health. See what happened to Lori every time she fucking teleported with Dr. Manhattan. And this goes back to Dr. Manhattan could have a replica on Earth, at the very least, leading something. And we're also going to see some holographic technology next season as well, next episode as well. So that may come more into play. I feel like Dr. Manhattan's in contact with somebody on Earth, and we're gonna find out who that is shortly.
Hope we see some Blue Chew. It's time to see
Yeah,
Dr. Blue Chew. A little bit more of him than
and
than
to
what I saw.
and to your point, Dornish, like Will Reeves, that's the first person he brought up, or they talked about, was Dr. Manhattan. Kind of claiming he could be that, and oh, he can't look like us. He can't. He's had a long time to play with the molecules there. And maybe he just wears, meat suits. Who knows? Fandom, let me ask you a question. Do you like Silk Spectre, and why? And what do you think the hell she's going to do? I know what she was sent there for, to figure out who the hell killed Chief Jack Crawford and get the 7th Cavalry in line. But, I don't know. Where do you think she's going to go from here, man?
I'm more curious to know because going to back to her joke, it's like, will she be the one to like throw the brick up, and kill like whoever is doing everything, or is it Angela? Because from the start of the series, I thought that okay, it's going to be her that's doing this, but now they've introduced Lori into the plot, and it's like, okay, is it going to be her if somehow something may happen to Angela? But to the other point, like, how do I like Lori's character? I am enjoying it so far. It was just a great way how they introduced it in this episode compared to like introducing her in like either episode one. We got like other characters within the plot.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think she's come in to just kind of directly oppose Angela's character, as well as be a sort of familiarity with her. I think they're gonna end up being like a weird buddy cop duo in the end. But who was asking? Peter Griffin was asking how many episodes. Does anybody know? I got 6 episodes on my thing,
I
but
think
They're
it's
eight,
9.
eight.
Oh,
Okay,
it's 8.
I only
eight,
have the
yeah.
names for the first 6 episodes, so that's why I had to ask you guys. And which I think is a good number for this. It's building up quite well. We're getting to the middle of it, which we're gonna have some peaks when we get to the middle of it, which is gonna be good. But John, your thoughts on Lori? What she's gonna do? Who the hell you think threw that damn car? Or and I don't know. Any of your thoughts on that shit? Kind of final thoughts of this.
I'll put good odds that it was Manhattan who both picked up and threw the car. Um, even though they were different cars, weren't they?
It was the
No,
same
It was
car.
the
It
same
was the same
car.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. So the gentleman in the wheelchair is still in there. Something to think about. Or most likely is.
oh, he's not
Um,
in the car. He wasn't in there. He's
I
up in the
don't
secret
remember
room.
anybody looking in the car.
Oh, I
When
saw the.
No, he's not in there. He's not in there.
Okay.
And if
I
he
just,
is, he must be durable as hell.
yeah. But I really, and that's one of the things I like about watching a show episodically. Like, I really don't know where this is going to go. I mean, I have my theories. Um, And you had said the thing about Ozymandias being on Mars, but I thought it was specifically said that he was somewhere in Argentina.
Nobody that I know knows where he's at.
I
He's
I,
just assume it's Wales because it looks like the Welsh countryside to me, but I mean, and also that they shot that in Wales.
right.
So
No, it was like a drop line, but I'm almost positive they said something about him being in Argentina. And I may be wrong. Uh, I only watched it was in the second episode, and I only watched it once, and
Well,
it
it
was
could
like,
play into the Nazi thing if he is in Argentina, and then you go back to Adrian Veidt. His parents were German. I don't know what the extent of that was, but that goes back to the Seventh Cavalry. It goes back to the German letters written to in World War One, which were actual letters. That was a direct quote from the letters that were sent out during the
real
propaganda.
propaganda.
So it's interesting.
yeah. I thought that was something that was specifically stated though. In regards to Doctor Manhattan, I don't know what would make him. Here's my question. You know, for me, when it comes to good drama, I always ask, the question that actors ask, and that's, what's my motivation? Like Doctor Manhattan, like said, "Hey, bugger off, y'all! I'm gonna go do my thing on Mars. Go screw yourselves." And why would he be getting involved now?
I think the only thing that's gonna ever get him involved is something with Lori Blake. The only person he ever really truly loved, it seems. What do you
Yep,
think, Dornish?
agreed.
Go for it.
Agreed.
Let me get you to mute for me.
Agreed.
Dornish.
I think his motivation is Lori. And that's why you see Lori making these random phone calls to him. Those booths weren't put there for humanity to, have a prayer line to the blue god in Mars. Those booths were put there so that Lori Blake could keep in touch with him.
Yeah, he probably made some kind of deal to do that. I mean, it's he's clearly with some understanding with the people of Earth that want him away, and whatever happened with the DIE case, and yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And I guess we're kind of wrapped up with the episode. I'll give my kind of final thoughts, I guess. In general, Dr. Manhattan, he's still longing for love, just as Lori is, but Dr. Manhattan deals with it in a Spock sort of way. He'll eventually come around, in my opinion, just like he did when Lori changed his mind in the comics. Now, when Lori changed his mind, it wasn't the type of change she necessarily wanted. His actions weren't necessarily what she agreed with. Now in the long run, if you think about what he did, I guess it was kind of a good thing. But I think that's what's gonna happen. Dr. Manhattan's gonna come down as a savior, and you're not gonna get what you expect from him. And he's gonna be used sparingly. Even Lindelof said so, because he changes the game so much once he comes into play. So you can probably expect to see him the very last episode, unless we get some kind of hologram or a version of him talking to Lori before he comes down and intervenes with mankind once again. Lori herself is going to be there to just kind of take Sister Night down a peg from her vigilante justice. She's had it right when you said you can't really tell the difference between a masked vigilante and a masked cop. And what we've talked about, all of us on here have touched on, is that you just act differently when you wear a mask. You have a little less accountability for yourself. And Sister Knight needs to come to a realization of that. She has, what she is doing and what the precinct is doing is not winning them any favors with the people. I would argue that this is exactly what Chief Judd wanted. This is what Judd Crawford wanted right here, is to keep sowing derision and division. And if you notice, the cop that got shot was a black man. Wasn't another white person that got shot in the beginning. And we kind of see, I don't know, if you just watch what happens, you kind of see maybe the person she thought of as a father figure, the person she thought of as her best friend. It's really the person that may have been the most evil in that entire town. And that's a fun story to uncover there. And then that might be what it is about when it's all about race in the end, as far as Angela's journey, right? Just kind of coming to terms with loving a racist, maybe. I don't know. It's just my weird thoughts. So, Fandom, where the fuck can they find you at, man? Because you be having some good reactions, bro, and them Funkos ain't no joke.
So, final thoughts on this episode. Hopefully, and I'm just waiting for like the whole reveal with Ozymandias, because like throughout each and every episode, each and every one of his scenes, it's like, what the hell is going on with this guy? What is he planning? And like what John said, it's like, why now has Dr. Manning like did put him in this either whether on Mars, a pocket dimension, whatever it is, like why now? Like was he behind all of this and he just like plucked them out because he was like, I'm not gonna allow you to do this all again, type ish, but. However it goes down, can't wait to see whatever episode is going to reveal it. Can't wait till we all talk about it. But if you want to find me, I'm Phantom D Saint. That's the name of my channel. I do several reactions to several shows like The Watchmen. Once again, thank you for having me, Johnny, on your channel, talking about The Watchmen with you, Dornish Wench, and John, once again, and also AK earlier, and the people within the live chat.
Oh, yeah, it's fun to have all these people that are way smarter than me on here, especially Dornish Wench. Pirate Jenny kicked ass tonight, I'm not going to lie. But we did have John St. Baptiste here as well. Music makes the people come together, and John St. Baptiste makes the music come together inside his coffin because he is a vampire. John, where can they find you, man?
You can find me at my channel, John St. Baptiste. You can also find me under the same name on Facebook and on Twitter. Music makes the people come together. New music videos coming up tomorrow. Also tomorrow on my channel we'll be talking about the first two chapters of Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman, which I'm really stoked about. Because mythology, I think, is something that needs to be taken by every person who reads it and made their own. I mean, these started out as oral stories. And I know, Johnny, you have that oral fixation with Big Blue, but these started out as oral stories. And, I love when writers take their own interpretations and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, you can see me with this beautiful man on the Cylon Johns every Friday night. And we'll be talking about The Sun Also Rises, I believe, is the name of the episode, which I'm pretty stoked about. So hope to see you there. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and everyone in the chat. And as Johnny said, I feel like I've been talking to a lot of people who are a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, John, well, that's a given. Both our names are kind of John, so that just fucks us over. Dornish Wench, you still there?
I sure am.
I see you staring at me
I'm
with that
here.
avatar. Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Final thoughts, and I know you don't want anybody to find you, and I can't blame you. So.
Yeah, facts. I am not a social media fan. I am about to get off of Facebook as well, fortunately. I just have a couple things to do before that really happens. Had some pictures to save, but Mark Zuckerberg is not going to own me. So so I'm getting off of there as soon as I can. Anyway, with that being said, you can find me in your local chat, or you can find me here with JBC in the place to be with all the other rest of the fabulous, fabulous people in this fandom, like Fandom D Saint, or the Funko God, as I like to refer to him, or John St. Baptiste, the OG vampire. So yeah.
Yes.
And Lord Commander AK, who is currently hopefully kicking ass in trivia. So yeah.
Oh, she's doing it. AK's the bomb diggity. And I gotta thank y'all for coming out. It's fantastic. Of course, I've got to say what's up to my patrons, and check out all those channels there. If you are an aspiring meme lord, go check out Geek Folk One. But Amy True, Anime Lover Nicole, Bobby Catalano, Catherine Cronin, Catherine Harding, Clarissa Thompson, Dark Mother, John St. Baptiste, Casey of House Lorebridge, Katrin C from my point of view, Nancy T, Santivia Major, Steve York, and the podcastthat.com. That family of podcasts, also known as the podcast that drinks and knows things, the podcast that floats down here, and the podcast that must not be named, and some other podcasts. I really appreciate y'all coming out in the chat. It has been awesome to have all y'all folks out here. Much love, my friends. I'm going to play some music and get us the hell out of here. Maybe hear a little stuff. Catch us next week, Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's our normal time. We changed it to Tuesday today, but every day will be Monday. And be on the lookout for some dragon videos. We got the Dance of the Dragons and their riders coming out on the Chronicles of Fire and Blood. Also, gonna have a few things going on, like John said, with the Cylon Johns. Go check that out. Check out Mackenzie L. Burns, John St. Baptiste, Provost Broadcast, and all the others. Okay, my friends, and much love, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace, love, and chicken grease, as they say.
Stop disrespecting coffee, damn it.
For real.
They can still hear you. Yeah, that beat drop.